What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Jose, the YC Geek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord, aka the one sit the throne today, aka your tribal chief. I'm sorry I can't raise this arm today. My arm is killing me. Aka the guy who just finished watching the penultimate episode of season 2 of House of the Dragon. I believe it's called The Red Sowing, which makes sense because Rhaenyra, where we last left off last episode, is sowing the seeds, sowing the dragon seeds, trying to claim them so that we can get more dragon riders for her side. And if you remember, Game of Thrones was known for its crazy penultimate episodes. Like their episode 9s were the things that people were crazy about, right? They lost their minds for the Battle of the Blackwater, Battle of the Bastards, which I think was terrible. But you know, the Reigns of Castamere, the Battle of the Wall between Mance Rayder and the Night's Watch, which was a phenomenal battle. But, you know, unfortunately, House of the Dragons, with its 2 seasons so far, their penultimate episodes have left me a little bit wanting. Not that they've been terrible, not that they, you know, I don't think there's been an episode where I've been like, man, that was garbage. No, it's just that there have been parts where they've definitely dropped the ball narratively. Last season was the dumb scene with Rhaenys busting out with melees and, you know, killing all the small folk and not ending the war when she should have just ended it right there. And I tried to give her reasons as to why, but I just thought it still was kind of silly. You know, and here, while we did have some awesome scenes, we did, there were some scenes where it felt like, I don't know, I felt like I was kind of removed. I felt like I was a little removed from it. Characters said some things that didn't make sense, and we wasted some time with other scenes. You know, look, I know I always say we're going to go quickly. We are going to go quickly today, because like I said, my arm is killing me. I got this Tdap shot and it is agony. I could barely move my arm. So it's killing me. So let's get this done quick. Let's hop into the episode again. If you haven't watched it yet, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to break it down. We're going to go through the episode, not scene by scene. I'm going to skip a lot of scenes. Just briefly gloss it over, but I'm going to give my notes, my, opinions on certain things. So let's go on, and we're starting right with a great shot here between the two dragons. We got Sea Smoke on the right, we got Rhaenyra on the left, and she is, you know, like she's like, look, we saw that it picked up from last episode, right? We saw that Sea Smoke chose him as its dragon rider, and I don't know if that's something that's been established, that the dragons can choose the riders. I thought that it was ordinarily the riders who chose their dragons. But hey, that's cool. That adds a layer of depth to the dragons that I really enjoy. And this show has, before I get too deep into the episode, into the scene, this touches on some earlier observations that I made with Daemon's dragon and some that happened later on with some other dragons. I love how this show has done such a fine job of trying to make the dragons feel unique. They try to give them their own roars, their own look. I'm a big fan of it. I really like that. So this is, to me, I like the idea of them adding a little bit more layer and depth to them. Now, and we don't know why. I don't know if they do in the book. Again, I'm reading the book right now. I don't know if they say why Smoke has chosen Adam. It could be maybe he sees a little bit of Rhaenyra in him. They do have that shared blood through Corlys, so maybe that's what it is. And you know, he probably saw that Alan is not really much of, you know, he is, and he later says that to Corlys. He's like, dude, I'm for the sea. You know, just like Bela told Corlys last episode, I'm fire and blood. You know, so maybe it felt like, hey, this is much more my kind of rider here. This is I'm already bonded to somebody from its family, and we don't know if Rhaenyra died across the narrow sea. We don't know. So you know, and this is very important here too, because Rhaenyra knows if she doesn't get like, look at this look, man. These dragons look fantastic. Again, I gotta say it, you can see where the budget goes with this show. You see it in look at the dragon. I said this earlier, right? I said it I think it was at the beginning of this season. I'm pretty sure I said at the beginning of the season when Rhaenyra lands and when she finds Lucerys's body and she lands and her dragon slides against the sand. They put the effort to make the dragons feel like they are actually there. There's such a good attention to detail, man. That's such a great attention to detail. Like look at that. Look at this. I'm sorry. I know I just really want to really praise this part of the show. Look at the sand. I want y'all to pay attention to the sand right here and then on the right wing. You see that? You see how that sand moves? This is so well done. It's so well done. Look at right here. Look at that. You see how the sand just shifts over? This is such a fine attention to detail that I feel like maybe people have said it, but I want to make sure that I give praise to the show. I really do when it comes to that. I love the the fantastic attention to detail and the CGI on the dragons that makes them look so good and so real. And remember, like this is such a vital scene for Rhaenyra. She has to secure this guy's loyalty. She's losing. She is losing. She's suffering loss after loss, and after a long time on the losing side, she has valid reasons to be worried that, like, look, I might be losing more than just my small council's respect. Like, she has to play this gamble. And we move on to the next scene is going to be Alicent. You know, they spend some time here and she secures his loyalty. And we move to Alicent never acknowledging, as always, she doesn't acknowledge her hypocrisy. She everything around her, she doesn't acknowledge the fact that, I mean, maybe we've seen her realizing it, yes, but never openly saying, like, this is my fault. I put the realm in chaos, okay? Or at least I helped move it into chaos far faster than it ever would have been. So, and they have made, to me, intentionally, obviously, they have made Alicent detestable. And honestly, I'm reading the book and, you know, again, going where I am, I'm trying to avoid going beyond the book where the show is at. But Alicent in the books is a piece of shit too. So, you know, but however, unfortunately, this is one of the threads, this episode, because Alicent has about 2-3 scenes here where it just felt like it felt like it meant little to nothing. We see she wants to like get away from King's Landing, especially after that riot, and she's telling him like, let's go, just me and you. And it just felt like it was just kind of like, later on she has a scene, she's going into a lake. It was very, very, I guess we're seeing Alicent just kind of starting to unravel, which, okay, fine. I just felt like we could have spent some time on other characters. Anyway, another cool scene here. This is Sir Larys Strong. You all know him as the Master of Whispers. And here, Lord Jasper. And they're having a little chat. And I like this scene. Y'all know I love intrigue. I am big on Game of Thrones with their intrigue and their scheming, because right here, let me go back to the Lord Jasper is telling them like, look, man, I got a rumor. I found out a rumor. And Sir Larys is like, oh yeah, what you got, bro? Let me hear it. And he said to him like, Sea Smoke has a rider. Sea Smoke has been spotted with a rider, and that obviously is tipping the scales in Rhaenyra's favor. And when I say I love the intrigue, the two of them are talking about this. Aemond is in the courtyard. He's sending the King's Guard that failed. He's sending them to the wall. But he wants advice from Larys. He's like, yeah, should I tell the Prince Regent about this? Like, what do you think? Like, if you think it's valuable, maybe you could deliver it. It's almost like none of them wants to be the bearer of the bad news. That's what it is. The two is like, he's like, well, you're the Master of Whispers, so, if you really want to tell him. And he's like, nah, you found this out, bro. Go ahead, you could tell him. So I like that, because I've said that, to me, the small council scenes are some of the strongest in this show. And we really didn't get a lot of that in Game of Thrones really properly. We got a small taste when Ned first gets to King's Landing, and we see how useless it's become, or not useless, but how little Robert pays attention to the small council. He doesn't care about it. He doesn't care about ruling the realm. And then when Tywin becomes Hand of the King, again, he barely pays attention to the council because he's really like, I'm the king behind the throne. So I love that we're getting to see the small council at its peak. We're getting to see not just the Targaryens at their peak, but we're getting to see what the small council would have been and how much influence and how much power they have. We saw it with Otto. We've seen it now with Sir Larys and Sir Jasper. So I like this. I feel like it breathes life into the show. And we get to see some of these machinations, these plots that are behind the crown and the intrigue. To me, that's what always has made Westeros, I was going to say Game of Thrones, but I don't know what to call it now, the Westeros universe. At this point, it makes it feel so alive. Those machinations, those intrigues, those plots, those schemes. I love that. Now, we're going to get to one of the parts, if not probably the part that I dislike the most. Sorry about the cut. I sneezed. I apologize for it. We get to this scene, and this is one of the scenes that I definitely, this is probably the scene, the thread of this episode that I dislike the most. I did not like what they did with Jacaerys in this episode. He sees his mother and Sea Smoke's new rider coming back. He's pissed. He's pissed about that. And they're going to touch about, he touches about this later on in the episode. And I'm skipping the stuff with the White Worm. I'm not a big fan of what they're doing with the White Worm here. I said last episode, that whole kiss between them felt so freaking forced. And I will say this, thankfully, they didn't even touch on that. They didn't even go back to it. There wasn't even mention. Nothing, not a damn thing. So I like that. I was worried that we were going to have a scene of the two of them having sex. I was going to be like, dude, what the fuck is going on, right? Little plus though, let me throw this plus here to the show. I used to say, I always felt like Game of Thrones was very gratuitous, a little bit, way too gratuitous, not a little, way too gratuitous with the sex scenes and the nudity and all that shit. This show has done a great job of not having to engage in that. And that's an HBO thing. They love doing that. They did that with season 2 of True Blood. They've done it with their other shows where it just felt like, dude, why you stop trying to be edgy to be edgy? This show has done a great job of not doing that. But anyway, we move on. A lot of scenes, a lot of small little minor scenes here. This is very important. We're going back, and I've got some notes here, but we're going back to Daemon, and he's still at Harrenhal. And I know, you know, I've been a little bit with the, come on, man. Like, I want to see Daemon do some Daemon-y stuff. I understand the importance of it. I do. And Harrenhal has grown more on me. But I know that there have been a lot of people who have been tired of Daemon being at Harrenhal. I think that we get a little bit of a payoff. I want to say a little bit of a payoff that they're going to be leading into next episode into. That's how I feel, because right now he gets the news that Lord Oscar Tully, who was the grandkid of Grover Tully, has ascended. This little boy right here, if you remember earlier this season, Daemon calls him and he's like, dude, I need you to, hurry the fuck up, kill your grandfather, do whatever you got to do, but I need you to become the Lord so that I could give you, so that you can raise an army for me. But when we saw him, Oscar before, he was playing all like timid and dumb and whatnot. And now he shows Daemon that, he was playing him all along. He realizes the power that he has, not only over the king consort, but even in just Daemon's immediate area. Because he tells him, he's like, you've made a mess here, dude. Like the other lords of the Riverlands are pissed off and it's your fault. And they go here and they start having like a council between all the lords of the Riverlands, and Oscar Tully is telling them, Lord Oscar, like the people of the Riverlands are like, dude, we have followed your people, your house's guidance. We have kept our oaths. We believe in our oaths here in the Riverlands, but we need justice for what this guy has done. The Lord, I think it was Lord Bracken, that Daemon set upon to get the Riverland lords to side up with him. And Oscar manipulates him. Look at this line that he says here. He steps into the role of leadership immediately and makes Daemon be like, oh shit, I completely underestimated. And that's been Daemon's problem. One of his many problems is that he keeps underestimating people. And he realizes that the kid that he kind of that he slighted, the lords that he slighted, he's starting to realize, like, I just can't force them to follow me. Like, I'm gonna have to bend to these people a little bit. And like, look at what this kid says. Like, he says, we follow King Viserys, and who, when he named Rhaenyra his heir, and he looks, it's such a great actor, by the way. He looks at him and he pauses for that dramatic effect, right? Dramatic. Look at this armor, man. I'd say every goddamn episode, I point out how good the costumes or the set pieces are. And I'm going to point out right now, look how nice that armor looks, man. Look in the back. So good, man. This show, I see no reason to cast aside loyalty, no matter how loathsome I may find her representative, the prince. He calls him intentionally the prince. And Daemon, Daemon's like, king, Bofo, king. He's at that poo, and he tells him, mind your tongue, boy. Like, you can see how quickly this kid is getting under Daemon's skin and showing that it is not Daemon in a position of power. His dragon ain't anywhere here. It ain't near here. You by yourself, Daemon. So, and he tells, look, you see this right here. This is what I wanted to show. Look how the lords all look at him like, who are you calling boy? That's our lord. That's our lord. And you are just the prince. You're just the prince. He's like, I'm the king consort, goddammit. But this is such a power play from Oscar Tully. Great scene. And he forces Daemon to enact the king's, or I should say the queen's justice, by executing that Lord Bracken. And that's such a cool scene. It was awesome. We get to see Daemon, like, again, we get to see Daemon getting that introspection. This is what Harrenhal has been, a lot of introspection, a lot of humbling, a lot of, realizing that being a ruler is not as easy as Daemon thinks it is. Daemon truly thinks that the Targaryens are gods. That they're above the mortals. And he's starting to realize that power is, God, who was it? Somebody in Game of Thrones said it, that power is where the shadow falls, So like, even a small person can cast a grand shadow, and that's where power really lies. And Daemon's starting to realize, it's like, dude, I'm not casting a shadow. It's these other lords that are around me, that if I can get them behind me, if I can get them to call their banners to me, then I can really say, oh, I've raised an army. I have power of my own. You know what I mean? So this is a cool thing. And we're moving to another oh man, that I've been begging, and we got it last episode. We got it this episode. We're getting a little bit more of Paddy Constantine showing back up. Let me put that for y'all here. You can see my boy showing up. So y'all can see King Viserys right there, man. Look at him. And this is it's another vision, but it is Daemon. Look at how Viserys looks at this crown. Look at how he's looking at this crown. And he's just the weight, the severity of it. And he talks about that. He just says, he tells him, like, this crown crushes, anyone who wanted to wear it. See, it crushes whoever wears it. And he's telling him, do you still want this? He goes, I never wanted this crown. I never wanted it. You still want it, Daemon. And, if this was season 1, Daemon, if this was earlier episode, Daemon, if this was like beginning of season 2, Daemon would be like, oh yeah, give me that shit. We're starting to see how Harrenhal has unraveled Daemon. And they just have a fantastic scene. I wish I could show y'all. Obviously, I can't. I don't want to get copyright struck. But just phenomenal. Matt Smith and Paddy Constantine, two of them. Anytime they're on screen, the chemistry that they have is just incredible. And, we're learning that behind all that bluster, behind all that bravado, Daemon is starting to have to question, Like he tells him, you always wanted it. And look at this shot right here. I would love, I'm torn between this and another scene later on being my thumbnail. I love this shot though. Do you want it still? Do you want it still? And that is something that Harrenhal has made Daemon have to question about himself. I am, like he's starting to question not only could he actually rule as an efficient king, but does he even want to anymore? And I'm so curious to see where Daemon's tale ends, how it ends. And look at Matt Smith's face. Like look at that, man. Like he looks at it and it's not, you see that right there, that pursing of the lips. Let me see if I could get it to come back to that scene right there. I want y'all to see. Look at the pursing of the lips. You see that right there? That's that tension, that almost regret, that almost like, I don't know if I do actually, brother. Like this is just, what a scene. Awesome stuff. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to skip some of these scenes here. That we got some smaller stuff. Sir Larys is trying to, he's trying to, convince, he's trying to help Aegon to recoup. He's trying to coach Aegon into being like, dude, you got to get your energy back. You got to recuperate. Because he realizes, one, he can't manipulate Aemond the way he wants to. And I think that a part of him is also worried about, like, if Aemond starts clearing house, if he's done this to his brother, what is he going to do to him, right? Because we already saw last episode, Aemond doesn't like Sir Larys. And Sir Larys is yo, dude, this guy will hold a grudge, right? We get another episode, another scene with Corlys talking to Alan and Alan confirming that he is, of the sea. He's not a dragon rider. We get Rhaenyra feeling out of place because she's dragonless. She is the only one in her family who's dragonless and essentially powerless to even stop from being ejected from the Vale. Can you imagine how little power he has? And like I said, this goes to show what I told y'all about Rhaenyra earlier in the beginning of the episode. Rhaenyra being on the losing side. Once you keep losing, your side is going to start losing that confidence in you. And they're losing it in Rhaenyra. They're losing it in her cause to the point where the Lord or the Lady of the Vale ejects Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra's kids. God, all the names blending together. Rhaenyra, God damn it. Rhaenyra's kids and Rhaena from the Vale. She's ejected them. Do you know how big of a slight that is? That she was tasked with keeping the children of the queen safe. And she's like, nah, you know what? I can't have you here. You got to find your way elsewhere. That's huge, man. That's big. That's a big slight. And I don't know if it's going to come back to bite the lady from the Vale. Again, I don't know. Because I've avoided so much. Thank God, man. I've avoided spoilers. I've avoided reading farther into the book. Thank goodness. This is the scene I was talking about that I really, oh, man, I didn't like this scene. This is a powerful moment, okay? It's a powerful moment. And earlier, I believe it's earlier or maybe it's here where he calls this right here, the lowborn, claiming ideas, claiming dragons. Was it her idea? And earlier, if it's not earlier, it's in this season. I apologize. This episode. Christ, I'm sorry. I'm tired. It's in this scene or in the earlier scene where he sees his mother coming back that he calls one of the lowborn. He calls Alan a mongrel. That took me so out of it. I did not like that. I thought it was very, very out of character for Jacaerys to say that. Especially since this was Jace's idea. It was Jace's idea to go get the dragon seeds. He was the one who was like, we needed to find the dragon seeds. And I understand his very valid concerns. He's like, dude, once you start handing out dragons to the other houses, the Targaryens are going to lose their claim to dominance. But he calls Adam Seasmoke's dragon rider a mongrel. And that to me felt so out of character. We've seen that Jace is probably the nicest guy in the kingdoms. He's what a prince should aspire to be. For him to get all snobby, felt very out of place. That felt like something that Daemon would have said. So I wasn't a big fan of that. I didn't really like where that came from. But I will say this, because this scene is important. He confronts his mother. He confronts his mother, and he's like, dude, I'm not stupid. Like, yeah, I may argue my legitimacy to succeed you because I have a dragon. So he's also saying, like, you giving out dragons is lowering my claim, because he confronts her and he tells her, I know that I am a bastard. And he calls her out on her shit. And even though I dislike the like I said, him calling the person a mongrel and it kind of being weird that he's like, dude, this was your idea. Maybe they could say that he was like, yeah, but I wanted you to do it with lords instead of lowborns. Maybe. But what I will say is these two together have such great chemistry. You saw it in episode 1 where Jacaerys comes back and he says only a few words and Rhaenyra starts to sob and she holds him and he starts breaking down when he finds out that Lucerys has died, his brother. And the two start, not breaking down, but, crying. And you see that swallowing of the throat there, swallowing it's hard for him to talk. His voice is breaking a little bit. These two have such chemistry. And Rhaenyra's actor, right? The actress is phenomenal. She's great. She is my favorite, obviously other than King Viserys, but she's my favorite character in the show. And she's realizing how much of an uphill battle she has made for her son. And he still doesn't agree with her decision, but he understands, like he's pissed off. He walks off and she's once again feeling alone. Now, I'm going to skip. This is another thing I'm going to skip. We get a lot of montage. Now, let me get to start where, like, look at that. Oh man, look at these two together. Look at the tears, dude. You know how hard it is to cry? You know how hard it is to cry when you're not actually genuinely sad? It is one of the most difficult things to do as an actor. And these two can do it like, whoo. So we get the White Worm starting to spread a rumor. And this is an important scene. We get some montages. We get some. Let me talk about this scene because this was a little bit weird and maybe I'm understanding it a little bit more differently now. We get a lot of montage and scenes of word spreading around King's Landing, right? About Rhaenyra seeking dragon riders, which to me was bizarre because this rumor spreads like wildfire, okay? We see it like, hold on, let me show y'all. We see it in the tavern with Ulf, right? Hold on, look. We see it in a tavern with Ulf, and they're like, yeah, they're looking for Targaryen bastards. That's you, bro. And then they start cheering. They're like, Ulf, Ulf, Ulf. Like this, and even Hugh, the next scene is Hugh talking to his wife. And like, to me, it's like, dude, how obvious if this rumor is spreading like that, then it should have reached Aemond, right? Shouldn't have it reached Aemond or at least Sir Larys. And why aren't they trying to stop people from leaving King's Landing to arrive in boats to Dragonstone? Now, the only thing, and again, I don't know from the books, the only thing that I could think of is that we did see earlier, Sir Larys trying to keep information from Aemond by convincing Jasper, like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't tell him that rumor, and Jasper was like, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know if Sir Larys is intentionally keeping Aemond blind. He's intentionally keeping secrets from him. We already saw him, like I said, dissuading Lord Jasper from sharing with Aemond about Sea Smoke having a new rider. So maybe they're going with that and they haven't revealed it yet. Okay? Maybe they haven't revealed it yet. But this scene right here, let me touch on this real quick. I did know my mother. This got the biggest, I legit pop. This got the biggest pop from me because they don't say it in the show. He's talking about his mother and they don't say it in the show directly. Like they don't name names, not the name that matters. They don't name his mother, but they heavily allude that he is the son of Sarah Targaryen, who has been one of the most interesting characters in the Fire and Blood book. I've been digging her character. She doesn't have like a huge amount of time, but briefly, Sarah Targaryen was a princess. Okay, she was the daughter of King Jaehaerys and Queen Alicent, and they had a bunch of kids. They had a ton of kids. They had like 9 kids, but Sarah was like the 6th or something like that, and she was a lustful, manipulative kid. She was a brat, and she ended up enrolling the court in a huge scandal, like big, to the point where the king was like, dude, get her ass out of here. Like he thought, like I think they make her become not a silent sister, but they send her off to be a septa. She ends up running away. Sarah ends up running away, and she goes to Lys across the narrow sea, and she becomes this to the pleasure garden. So she becomes a prostitute. She becomes super rich due to obviously how much she would charge as a prostitute to have sex with a Targaryen princess. So I legit loved that scene. I thought it was cool that we got like a lore that ties back directly to the source material like this. I haven't gotten to where Hugh is discussed in the book yet, so I'm not sure if they made it very clear there, but I was very happy for them to put that tie in there. I was a big fan of that. And now we're getting to the very end. They spend a good, again, more Alicent stuff. Dude, Alicent has like 3 or 4 scenes in this episode, like I said, that felt like an absolute waste. We didn't get any Kristen Cole. We didn't get any Sir Kristen Cole. We spend the last 20 or so minutes, and I cannot show you this, obviously, or if somebody knows a way that I could show y'all some of the episode, and we could do a frame by frame thing, maybe. But the last bit of this episode is with Rhaenyra conducting the dragon trials. Who's going to be chosen by the dragons? The red sowing, so to speak, right? Who's going to be chosen by the dragons? Who's going to ride Vermithor, who was formerly King Jaehaerys' dragon, and it's almost as large as Vhagar, and who is going to ride Silverwing, which was previously Queen Alicent's dragon, right? So you can kind of guess. And look, they do. Let me show y'all real quick. I do want to show y'all this because they have a ton of people who are trying to. She gives a speech like, "Look, you guys are like, look at all these Targaryen bastards," and he does it. She puts them out, and this shot right here, where she calls Vermithor. Like this to me, look at that. Okay. All this platform is full of people, right? When she calls Vermithor, like I told y'all, they do their best. This is the first we've seen Vermithor this season, or this show so far. When they show the dragons, like I said earlier, they try their best to make the dragons feel so goddamn like, oh shit, right? This shot to me, look at this. Like, obviously, I'm not playing the audio, but they're like, you hear like footsteps. Like, and if you remember episode 4, I talked about how cool it was when they showed Vhagar flying behind the tree line. Like, they make the dragons feel like the T-Rexes from Jurassic Park, right? Like, whenever you would hear if you're old enough to remember Jurassic Park, whenever the water would shake, whenever you hear that boom and the earth would quake, you knew, oh shit, the T-Rex is coming, right? Dude, they do that here. Like, look at this shot right here. I'm going to see if I can let it play for y'all a little bit. Like, you see the wing unfurling. Just fantastic lighting. Just really keeping it concealed until the very end so that you can, like, that anticipation, the slow unveiling of look at that shot, man. The second biggest dragon in Westeros right now. And like I said, a lot of it. Look, you're gonna know who claims the 2 dragons, right? Because there's only been 2 characters, 2 Targaryens who've been named, Hugh and Ulf. But Vermithor, man, the dude, like I said, they make the dragons feel so terrifying. They're forces of nature, and the gods that it makes the mortals think that they can tame, right? The mortals think that they can tame this, and Viserys said it. King Viserys said it. The illusion is that we control the dragons. We don't control the dragons, man. That's why I like the whole thing about them showing the dragons maybe picking who their rider is, even though some of them were placed as eggs inside of the cribs of some of the Targaryen children of the royalty. So you know, that also they had that blood bond together. But yeah, man, like it's a lot of this. It's it's Vermithor. Like Vermithor, you can imagine it doesn't go well, and he just starts wailing on people. And Rhaenyra's like, "Oh shit!" Like I'll show y'all a little bit. Like he's like, "Your Grace, we must away," and they're like, no." He's like, "I gotta watch this." Like he just starts burning people alive. He starts eating them. And it's just this chaotic scene of just, and Rhaenyra, the despair in her face when she's realizing like, oh my God, I have fed some of my small folk to this dragon. And look at this, look. Here's a look, oh, he's got somebody there. He's got a person there. She's realizing like, I just cost a bunch of people their lives and we still can't get these dragons to have dragon riders. And there's got to be that despair that like if we can't do this, I'm losing this gamble and we're boned, because now it's going to come back to King's Landing. Oh, Queen Rhaenyra has sacrificed the lowborn to the dragons. Like, look at that. Nom, 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 nom. He just chomps them down. And later it's Ulf. Like we see Ulf here. I'll show you. I'll leave Hugh. I'll give you all Hugh. Ooh, look at that, baby. Hugh and Vermithor. And he goes up to Vermithor. He's like, "I'm here." He's like, "Let's go." He just screams at him. And I think Vermithor is like, "Yo, you got some big balls, bro." And he respects that. He clearly respects it. And Hugh is able to tame Vermithor. On the other side, Ulf stumbles into Silverwing. I'm sorry, not Silver. I'm confusing Dreamfire and Silverwing. Ulf stumbles upon Silverwing. And again, I can't play the audio, but she's got like this like little laugh growl, not similar, not exactly like Daemon's dragon, but again, they put such effort to look how different she looks to make the dragons feel so different from each other. Just really, really well done. And we end with this. Ulf has no control, right? Because at least Vermithor and Hugh were in the dragon pit. Ulf went off into some place, and apparently he just is like, oh shit, and he climbs on Silverwing. God damn, I keep saying Silverwing, and she just takes off, and he is just screaming. And I always wondered this, and maybe they mentioned in the book, do the Targaryens have like, is there some kind of magic to them holding on? Because I would imagine flying at these speeds has got to be the most difficult thing on earth to hold on, right? So I don't know. Maybe I would love to know more about the actual, how the harnesses work. My brain, I like to see small things like that. Like I like lore. But he starts flying around King's Landing, right? And Aemond's like, dude, what the shit? And he goes to get Vhagar, and Vhagar's like, yo, let's ride, son, let's go. But I think he realizes like, no, dude, we've got to run. Because he starts flying towards Dragonstone. He starts chasing Silverwing. I got it right that time. I had to say it real slow. He starts chasing Silverwing, and he's like, Vhagar, flee. We got to go. And the reason why is this last shot right here. So I'm torn between what's going to be my thumbnail. Either that shot with Viserys and Daemon, or this shot right here with Rhaenyra having not just her dragon, not just Vermithor, not just Silverwing, but also having Sea Smoke. She's got 4 dragons. They will obliterate Aemond. They will wreck Daemon. Vermithor alone might be enough to take on Vhagar, especially since Vhagar has been so wounded. But combine Vermithor with any other dragon, it's over. It's dunzos. It's gone. So we see Aemond finally being like, oh shit, the scales have super tipped. Not just a little bit, super tipped off. She was losing. This war is now in the bag. So obviously it's not just going to end like that, but that's what Aemond's thinking. So anyway, again, it wasn't a terrible episode. There were a lot of things like you heard me. I was very excited about some things. There were just some things that I just was kind of like, I don't care about the Alicent stuff. We're kind of dithering around with the White Worm and just some stuff with Jacaerys that kind of pulled me out. Again, this is not a bad episode. This is still a good episode. It's just not episode 4. It's just not episode 1. It's not episode 2. It's not that peak. However, I ordinarily never look at the previews. I try my best not to, right? And I glanced at the previews for this and I was like, oh shit. Oh shit. So I think we're about to see Rhaenyra just not lose it, but she's about to be like, you know what? Let me stake my claim and let the world know I got dragons. So that was my thoughts on this episode. What episode is this? 7. Sorry. Episode 7, the penultimate episode of season 2. Let me know what you guys thought. Tell me. I have no problem with people correcting me. I made an error last episode where I was confused about some characters if they were twins. There's like a billion damn twins in the show, but I was some confused, and people in the comments let me know. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Let me know. I love talking with y'all in the comments. I appreciate it. I always thank you guys for taking the time to watch my episode, my videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Hit all the buttons. Hit the like button. If you hated it, hit the dislike button. Leave a comment. Hit all the buttons. As always, thank you guys. Your time is absolutely precious. I thank you for sharing it with me, and I will see you guys next time. Please take care of yourselves and stay safe.